I've been really on my own when I think about it. Yeah, my house is not a home when I think about it. I've been feeling so alone when I think about it. Yeah, nobody really got me when I think about it. I'm really on my own when I think about it.
What is good, YouTube fam? It's your boy SimbaReacts back here again with another reaction video for you guys today. For today's reaction video, we got Family Guy, 25 things you missed. Let's jump up in it.
It seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV. Lucky there's a Family Guy, and he's coming up next.
What, was 20 seasons of Family Guy content not enough for you? Well, I hope the next 15 minutes will satisfy your hunger for more of the Griffin family, because I'm about to feature 25 things you might have missed in Family Guy. And with season 20 finally coming to a close, now is the perfect time to go over all the little details that might have gone overlooked throughout the series.
Come here, boy. Come on. Hey, what's up? We going for a ride in the car? No, I had a question for you.
Brian has had a very questionable love life throughout the series. And by questionable, I mean, why are so many residents of Quahog into, well, you know, other than his love life being...
Hey, yo, actually, that's a really good question because I be thinking the same thing. I'm like, y'all all know he a dog. Like, and y'all sitting there kissing him and, like, y'all into bestiality. Y'all tripping.
Questionable, he hasn't exactly been the luckiest when it comes to dating either, considering the mother of his son, Tracy Flanagan. Also remember Connie, the bully at Meg's school? Brian didn't date her, but he did stand up to her before making out with Meg. Although we rarely see these characters now, we get an update on their lives when they both make an appearance at the strip club during episode 4 of season 16.
Take it off. I want to see his mind look right.
You know what? They're out here chasing
I didn't even notice that. I never even noticed that. That's crazy.
Does that scream sound familiar to you? This sound effect is called the Wilhelm scream and has a long history of being used in movies and TV series alike. The sound originates from the 1951 film Distant Drums, but is named after a character in the 1953 western, The Charge at Feather River. History of the sound aside, Family Guy loves to use it throughout the show, with it making multiple appearances when the characters fall or get hurt in some way. The sound effect itself is pretty silly and can be considered jarring when it's inserted in more serious projects, but in my opinion it's perfect for Family Guy and can either be seen as a nod to the iconic sound effect or as a way to poke fun at all the films that use it.
Aren't we supposed to be the frozen ones?
Dad's a loser.
Yeah, he sucks.
Adult cartoons have come a long way since The Simpsons. In fact, The Simpsons walked so that all the mature cartoons we have today could run. Considering Family Guy has gained a ton of competition during its 20-year run, and that the land of parody is practically the show's natural habitat, it makes sense that we see some references to the other shows every now and then. One specific reference happened in the Star Wars episode, Blue Harvest, where we can see both Bender from Futurama and Roger from American Dad in the background of the cantina. Honestly, Blue Harvest alone can be considered a gold mine of Easter eggs since it's based on Star Wars. I mean, really all of Family Guy is a bunch of Easter eggs and references to other media, so guess there's no point to this list. The video's over, folks. Okay, but seriously, there was one more small detail that many may have missed while watching that episode, and that was the inclusion of Jesus with the stormtrooper helmet on in the church scene. A small joke that pokes fun at the fact that stormtroopers are always hiding their identity, to the extent that they also have to hide Jesus' identity as well.
2 eggs scrambled on toast?
Sure thing, honey. Adam and Eve on a raft. Wreck 'em.
Remember the time when DVDs were the most common way to watch your favorite movies and TV shows from home? Family Guy was huge during that era, and there were tons of fans dedicated to collecting the seasons on DVD. There was even an Easter egg that nodded to the DVD audience in season 4 episode 10. When the Griffins win a boat race and get put in the papers, if fans paused their DVDs at the right moment, they could see in the paper it said, "DVDs paused for a headline joke. Millions disappointed." If you ask me, the headline had the opposite effect, because the fact the show...
I love things like that. Little just like hints and just like Easter eggs like that, man. That's so funny to me. Like, imagine that, you know, imagine that buying the DVD just to pause it and you know, really take into detail everything, and then you see that. Like, that's hilarious. That's funny as hell to me.
Made fun of viewers looking for Easter eggs to begin with is a pretty hilarious Easter egg in itself.
Oh, boob!
Boob, yeah, alright, boob!
Family Guy's iconic theme song has left a huge impact on modern pop culture. I guarantee you, if you played the Family Guy theme in your car with your friends, everyone would know the lyrics. Or you might get the Bluetooth taken away from you because who's trying to listen to the Family Guy theme?
Man.
Anyway, if you noticed in earlier seasons, the dancers in the theme song were all random people. But in the later seasons, this changes to the all-star cast of characters we know and love today. Starting in season 18 specifically, Consuelo replaces Angela, and Seamus replaces Adam West. It can be really easy to miss some of the hidden details of the intro, because even though we watch it before every episode, provided you don't press that skip intro button, we've kind of become numb to it and neglect to really dig into the changes and details sprinkled throughout. Another interesting little detail about the intro is found when you keep an eye on the older siblings of the Griffin family, Meg and Chris. During the section where the family do their dances with the top hats, both Meg and Chris keep their actual hats on underneath the top hats.
What?
These just must be their like default character models or something.
You want to see my paginas?
I don't know.
Family Guy backstories are pretty funny for the most part, but every now and then we get some backstory that's pretty serious. Now, what I consider serious and what you guys consider serious might differ a little bit. Because if you take a look at young Peter during the flashbacks, he only has one cheek of his butt chin. One side of his butt chin? Whatever you want to call it. Peter has not fully developed his iconic double chin, and it's probably my favorite tiny piece of character design throughout the series. The creators knew that Peter's chin was one of the aspects that made the character's design, and to make the younger version of him only have one chin ball is hilarious and a dope design choice.
Never saw much of Uncle Roy after that. Turns out we weren't even related.
We all know the series makes tons of blatant movie references, as again seen in the episodes 100% based around the Star Wars franchise. But there are some film references that are a bit more subtle, and if you're not looking carefully, could go right over your head. One example of this was in season 2 episode 5, where if you look at Stewie's toy blocks, they spell out red rum, a reference to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. In The Shining, Danny Torrance and his imaginary friend Tony spell red rum all over the hotel. Also spell red rum backwards, and you'll see why this reference was a perfect fit for the Stewie of the early seasons. Family Guy also makes a subtle reference to the 1986 classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Considering the movie's reputation, it's not surprising the show decided to reference the John Hughes film. During season 5 episode 11, Stewie and Brian visit the Chicago Museum of Art and observe one of the paintings. This scene is an exact recreation of the museum scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, down to the shot. A lot of you may have caught this reference, but for our younger audience who may have not seen this iconic film, do yourselves a favor and immerse yourselves in what is undeniably a big part of film history now, so you can understand this gag too.
Society's fault or one man's cry for help?
What are you talking about? I wanted her freaking money.
Seth MacFarlane found gold when making Family Guy. The show is practically his baby, but it wasn't the first idea for a show that he pitched to Fox. Before pitching the Griffin family we all know and love today, he pitched a series called Gumble to Gumble. And if that sounds familiar to you, it's because that's also the name of the fictional detective show that showed up heavily in season 2 episode 9. In the episode, Peter gets to bring back any canceled show that he wants and chooses to bring that one back. Seems like MacFarlane really wanted to give a second life to his first series pitch, and Family Guy was the perfect medium to do so. Family Guy is also known to get pretty political from time to time, from jokes and references of politicians and political events, to the show outright saying what it believes in. This was no different even in the earlier seasons. One such reference was to the landmark Supreme Court case, Brown v. Board of Education, in which the justices unanimously ruled that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. In season 4 episode 15, there's a scoreboard that gives Brown 42 points and the Board of Education 0. Effectively ending in a blowout, just like the actual case did. A subtle nod to one of the most important moments in American history. If you want to keep talking about subtleties, there's a pretty subtle joke in season 4 episode 19. In the episode's B-plot, Meg pretends to be a lesbian to become more popular in school, which is very messed up. But because of this, she is offered to join her school's lesbian alliance club. Once she joins, she gets a warm welcome, getting a poster with her image printed on it so that everyone knows who she is. But it's the text on the bottom of the poster where the joke comes in, and it says, "See you next Tuesday." I can't explicitly say what the joke is here for demonetization purposes, but if you take a close look at that poster, I'm sure you guys get the
I'd see, man, this is why I love stuff like this, because I would have never noticed that, bro. I would have never even, like, thought twice of it, you know? And I seen that episode a lot of times. Never once stopped and read that. Like, that's so wild. That's funny.
The point.
What's that, Lois? I'm just on the spin bike. Got a good sweat going.
Need another John Hughes movie reference? McFarlane must be a pretty big fan of his films because season 7 episode 4's premise, in which Stewie is left by himself, was loosely based on the Home Alone films. The ending of the episode is even similar to the ending of the original Home Alone movie, but that's not where it ends, because during the episode, Lois really digs into Peter and shares some pretty harsh words about his intellect. Peter's response is a word-for-word monologue reference to the John Hughes film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target.
Back in 2005, there's a direct-to-DVD Family Guy film called Stewie Griffin: The Untold Story. The film follows Stewie as he tries to find who he thinks his real father is before realizing that it's just himself from the future. If this plot sounds familiar, that's because the film was also released as a 3-part finale of Family Guy Season 4. Though the TV version had a bunch of scenes cut to make it more appropriate for television. Well, in Season 5, Episode 9, Road to Rupert, during the garage sale, we can see copies of that DVD. Maybe it was a way to promote the uncut version of the episodes.
No, I won't! I'm so fat and gross!
Oh.
Out of all the outrageous canon material of Family Guy, one of the ones that stands out most to me is the fact that Meg's actual name is Megatron. Yep, if you're one of Meg's friends, you might have assumed her full name was Megan. But when remembering who her father is, you realize a normal name might not be in the realm of possibility. You see, when Meg was born, Peter being Peter took Meg's birth certificate and changed it from Megan to Megatron. Funny, right? It's funnier that I just went unnecessarily in depth on a 2-second gag now, right? You get it? Meg is short for Megatron? Anybody? Alright, I'm not gonna do it again. But Chris also has a joke of a name because his middle name is Cross. Chris Cross.
Christopher Cross Griffin, what are you doing?
Considering that American Dad is also made by Seth MacFarlane, it's not surprising that the two shows cross over from time to time. Crossovers between the series are pretty easy to do too, since MacFarlane voices characters in both shows. In Season 5, Episode 18 of Family Guy, Roger makes a quick appearance and says,
Who ate all the pecan sandies?
Which is also one of the first lines of American Dad's pilot episode.
Francine, did you get those pecan sandies I asked for?
Seeing that Family Guy Season 5 was airing around the time that American Dad began to air, it made sense to add a bit of cross promo here. Speaking of pilots, Family Guys looked quite different from what we're used to seeing today. Mostly it was the colors that were way different, and that Chris has this weird leg thing going on. But what probably stands out most is that Lois used to have blonde hair before the finalization of the pilot. It's unknown why her hair switched from blonde to the red hair we're used to seeing with her today, but its original color would explain why Chris is the only character in the family to only have blonde hair. Growing up, I always thought that Chris was adopted or something, but you know what? Yeah, this makes much more sense.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go and check my mail over there.
Quagmire is a fan favorite of the series and fits right into Peter's 4-man friend group. They all look around the same age, right? All 30-somethings, maybe 40-somethings men getting into some kind of nonsense every week. Well, not Quagmire, because according to his driver's license, which was shown in the episode Foxy Lady, we see that the dude is actually 61 years old. You would never guess it with how active the guy is.
Right?
Also, he looks younger, just like the rest of his friend group. They need to explain what the secret of Quagmire's youth is, because he looks good for his age.
I just haven't met you yet. Oh, cool.
Peter isn't the most financially responsible person. He has a long history of making irresponsible purchases throughout the series. With that in mind, how does this man continue to afford the mortgage on his home? Seriously, it's astounding they still have a roof over their heads. In one episode, it's explained that they bought their home after suing a condom company. However, in that very same season, it's then mentioned that Peter and Lois actually rent the home because they can't afford the mortgage. Then, all the way in season 17, we learned that Lois's rich parents make the house payment. And honestly, this is probably the most likely of them all. Since they can barely afford their house, the next question would be, how do they afford their food? And the answer to that is, they found a way by making the same meal every night. Yeah, that's right. If you pay attention to every time the Griffin family eats dinner, you'll see that it's the same peas, mashed potatoes, and meat. It saves both the Griffin family money and the animators, as neither parties have to worry about what to make for dinner every episode.
Bond? James Bond. All right, Lois, I'll do it.
One more little detail you may have missed in the opening is one of the first you'll see. Lois singing and playing the piano with Peter is actually a reference to the 1971 series All in the Family. In that show's intro, the two main characters, Edith and Archie, are also seen playing the piano. And if you listen to Edith's voice, it kinda sounds similar to Lois's. So it's fitting they've referenced the series during the intro. They also could have drawn inspiration from Edith for Lois's voice. Lois's voice wasn't the only one that had some inspiration behind it, because in an interview with Seth Green, the voice of Chris Griffin, he revealed that the teenager's voice was based on Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. You can hear the resemblance, but it really is a strange character to take inspiration from for a comedy series. It works out in the end though, because I can't imagine Chris sounding any other way.
Who wants a glass of fresh lemonade?
Not me! What I want is a fresh glass of better daughter!
Last but not least, but maybe least in the eyes of literally everyone in the Family Guy universe, is the reason why Meg's character gets so much crap. I remember watching Family Guy while growing up and feeling so bad for Meg, like to the point where I couldn't even laugh at Meg jokes anymore. That's why one of my personal favorite episodes was when she went off on the entire family during that storm. Turns out the only reason they wrote her character that way was because the writers had no idea how to write a teenage girl, so they defaulted to making her the butt of every joke. See, this is why we need more diversity in the writer's room. Except in this case, it kinda worked in their favor, because my opinion on Meg is the unpopular one and people seem to love the Meg jokes. Family Guy's longevity can be partially attributed to all the little fun details spread throughout the show, and I'm pretty sure there are tons more that I missed throughout this video.
And that's crazy, man. I love little things like that. Just, you know, seeing all the Easter eggs and learning the behind the scenes stuff, man. I love stuff like that, man. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. Thank you guys for commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.